again, lore keepers. Welcome back to Alt-Tab Horror, where we discuss hidden lore and secrets in the realm of indie horror. Today, I will provide you proof that I have found evidence of a higher supernatural force hiding in the Baba Yaga's basement of Dear Dream Studios' Cooking Companions. Now, my curiosity began during the appetizer edition when we would see this note pinned to the wall in the living room. After even playing through the full game, we weren't allowed to read what it said. All we ended up getting out of it was that it's the first note we ever received, and thinking about the messenger puts a smile on her face. It's not until the very end of the New Game Plus with the DLC that we get a chance to read what's on this note. And holy moly, was the wait worth it! Dearest, the name is smudged out. I know you're still upset about Ivan, and I'm asking the impossible. But please, forgive me, and let's end this madness. We're different. To lose track of time, to let feuds rot inside of us, undying while the rest of the world moves on. This isn't healthy. It took me ages to learn this, and I'm asking you, please, to let this one die. Sincerely, the name is illegible. We've never seen the name Ivan in-game before, but it felt familiar for some reason. So I did some digging, and I found a character from Russian folklore named Ivan Tsarevich. Tales about him include the Caesar and Vasilisa the Wise, the tale about rejuvenating apples and the life water, and the death of Koshchei the Immortal. The first, the Caesar and Vasilisa the Wise, is what got me started down this path thinking this might be the Ivan from the note, considering Karen is almost identical to Vasilisa. The story goes that after meeting the Baba Yaga, Ivan marries the daughter of the Caesar, Vasilisa the Wise. The next is the tale about rejuvenating apples and the life water, where a king hears rumor of golden apples and water that bring about everlasting life. He sends his 3 sons to find them and bring them back. On his journey, the youngest son, Ivan, comes across the Baba Yaga in her cabin. Being pure of heart, the Baba Yaga treated Ivan well and gave him a horse to get him to where the apples and water of immortality are. Jealous of their little brother's success, the older sons capture Ivan and attempt to drown him in the water. However, due to the kindness shown to the old woman, the Baba Yaga saves Ivan from a watery grave and nurses him back to life in her cabin. And lastly, the death of Koshchei the Immortal. In this story, Ivan marries a woman named Maria, a beautiful warrior princess, and moves into her house. Shortly after, Maria goes off to fight in a war, telling Ivan, "Whatever you do, do not open the door to my dungeon below the house." And of course, like any normal human would do, Ivan goes straight to the dungeon as soon as she leaves. He opens the door to a horrifying sight of a sad, withered old man chained to the wall. He begs Ivan for some water, to which he brings the old man immediately. But after drinking 12 buckets of water, he grows strong enough to break out of his chains and escape from his cell. Turns out he is Koshchei the Immortal, a powerful undead lich who became that way by removing his soul and placing it into a needle and hiding it in a duck on a far-off island. Ivan chases after him, but he isn't quick or strong enough, so he makes his way to the Baba Yaga's cabin, who gives him a horse fast enough to catch up to him. In the end, Ivan ends up killing Koshchei the Immortal, and he lives happily ever after with his wife Maria. And that's the end of that story. But some versions or different translations of the story have Ivan being killed by Koshchei in the end. And interestingly enough, some versions briefly mention that Koshchei the Immortal is married to our dearest Baba Yaga. Now, this story connects Ivan, Koshchei the Immortal, and the Baba Yaga. But how does this all relate to Cooking Companions? And why did I include the one about the apples in the water? Well, the second question here is easy because in the DLC, if you follow Oleg to the bedroom and search the table and floorboards, you find bobby pins, which then allow you to unlock the northern door of the basement. Here, you find the Cellar of Plenty with, you guessed it, loads of apples. Now, the reference to the water of immortality is a little bit more difficult to find, but in the fake potato title screen, if you press the available buttons in a certain order, you get secret dialogue options from Potato. In one, he mentions the spirits in the basement talking about him. Realizing this him is living an abnormally long life, Potato asks his secret, and you tell him, water did it. Now, this isn't the first time someone references an unknown him in the game. During the Abyss ending, Potato mentions that we'll outlive him by going out and eating more and more people. He even mentions that someone is trying to become stronger than you, who I think we all assumed was Karen. And in the secret Potato title screen, he says he knows how to improve on your methods. Even when the Chompettes have locked Potato in the basement, Bread says he's got company down there, who we assumed were the spirits, but I know now that that's not the case. There's so much pointing to there being a whole person in the basement. But who is this mysterious he? As a community, I think we all just kind of passed it off before as it being Raziel or maybe Butcher. None of us ever even thought that there could be a whole other supernatural entity lurking in the depths of the basement. That is, until now. With the release of the DLC, we find more and more secrets hiding in the depths of this game that hint towards Koschei the Immortal being trapped in the basement. And I bet that we can go as far to say that he's behind the door to the west. And here's why. Ever notice how the places with spirits always seem to mention how cold it is? Under the sink, the living room, the bathroom, the basement, any place a dead spirit resides is mentioned specifically as being cold. Dead equals cold, so it stands to reason that hot equals life. The door to the west in the basement is hot. There's not a spirit in there. It's a very much alive person. Speaking of undead spirits, Koschei is what's known as a lich, a fiercely powerful undead being who gives himself immortality by putting their soul into an object, known as a phylactery. And they usually work close together with a sidekick, who they pass their powers on to, who of course ends up betraying them in the end. You know how it is. And Lich are often depicted as wielding some of the strongest psychic powers with control over the dead. And guess what's in an almost endless supply in this basement thanks to our Baba Yaga? Dead souls ready to be taken over by a Lich and his psychic powers, including our friends, the Chompettes, and Mariah, Anatoly, Karen, and Gregor. Wasn't it always so bizarre that Mariah and Gregor, the sweetest beans of the game, who wouldn't hurt a fly, become antagonistic towards us in death? We didn't even hurt Gregor. It was all Karen. So why would he come for us? It's because they were being controlled by the other entity in the basement. The Baba Yaga has the same powers as the Lich, only to a lesser extent. So she is able to bring back Selena, Rhina, Bolek, and Oleg as the Chompettes. And that's how she controls when they can move on. And now, for the final thing that solidifies my theory is this. This silly little duck. We find him hiding in the secret potato title screen if you punch in the correct code, 24315. Now, if you remember, I mentioned earlier that Koschei hid his soul inside of a duck. And now we see a duck! And not only do we see a duck, but if we double the speed and reverse the audio, we hear someone begging. Please don't kill him. We, the Baba Yaga, are begging Koschei not to kill Raziel with his undead spirits, the child we care most about, who brings comfort to our hell. But unfortunately, he did. Koschei uses his psychic powers to control us, to kill Raziel when we turn him into cornbread, because we cannot fathom a life without him and his light. He was the only one holding on to our humanity. It wasn't our fault. The Baba Yaga is innocent. All she wanted was to be a mother to Raziel, whose story I will go over next time. But until then, like and subscribe if you haven't, and sweet dreams, Lore Keepers.
Come back to haunt you.